Now I'm going to be working with 24 gauge sterling silver sheet for this flower. And if you're like me and you're not the best at freehand drawing, you can simply download some flower templates online and just print those out and then either glue them to your piece of silver or just tape them down to your piece of silver. Now we're going to saw out that little flower, but first we need to lubricate our saw blade. Alrighty, now that we have the shape of the flower sawed out, we're going to get ready to add some details to the flower. And what I'm first going to do is just simply use a Sharpie to draw the lines that I'm going to be stamping onto the flower. I'm then going to be using my steel bench block to do all of my stamping work on. Now, I'm just going to be using a simple line stamp from Two Moon Tools on Etsy to stamp details into my piece, along with this ball-peen hammer. And all I'm going to do is just line up that stamp as accurately as possible with the lines on my silver. And I want to make sure not to stamp too hard because that can cut through the metal. Now, using my needle files, I'm just going to go and clean up the corners of each individual petal until I get to the desired shape for them. Now, using a dapping block with various different shapes, I'm just going to dome my silver flower and give it a three-dimensional shape. I'm going to be using a ball-peen hammer to do this as well. And I'm just going to place the silver flower in one of the spears and start hammering away. I like to repeat this step a few times until I get the proper shape. And there you go. As you can see, now we have a three-dimensional flower. Now I'm just going to simply melt some silver scrap into a tiny little silver granule, and this is what I'll use for the center of my flower. Now what I'm going to do is just take some sanding paper and I'm going to sand the bottom of my silver granule so it's nice and flat. I'm going to be using pliers to hold the ball in place as I begin sanding. And now you can see I have a nice flat bottom on my silver ball. Now I'm going to be using easy solder to solder the silver ball to the flower. What I'm going to do first is just flex that silver ball, and then I'm going to take a small chip of easy solder and I'm going to melt it down and gently place it on the silver ball. Now I'm going to be using a mesh tray for the next soldering operation, and what I'm going to first do is just flex my silver flower, and I'm going to slowly heat it and allow the bubbles to dissipate. I'm then going to place my silver ball in the center of the flower and heat it from above and below. And there the solder flows. Now I'm just going to place my silver flower into the pickle pot. And as you can see, we had a successful solder. Now I'm going to be just using these silicone finger protectors to hold my piece in place while I begin polishing. And I'm just going to be using my 3M radial discs to clean up any excess solder and any marks or scrapes in the silver. Now we're going to oxidize the flower, and we need to have a neutralizing bath, and this is just baking soda and water. Now this stuff is very powerful and very toxic, so it's important to wear a face mask while using this along with rubber gloves. And now I'm just going to place the flour into my neutralizing bath, and it's good and ready to go. And now I'm just going to use a blue 3M Radial Disc to clean up any of the extra patina on the flour. Alright, and here you go. You have a nice new flower that you can use and incorporate into any of your future pieces. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and as always, if you can like and subscribe, that would be awesome. Thanks, guys.